Hello children, welcome back to the science video session. In this today's video session, we are going to learn Unit 22 Environmental Management from Biology of Standard 10. Come, let's get into this video session. Hello children, today we are going to start Unit 22 Environmental Management. Everything that comes from nature has some utility for man, but its utilization is possible based on the availability of appropriate technology. Resources can be renewed simultaneously along with their exploitation, like forests, crops, wildlife, groundwater, wind, and solar energy. They can maintain themselves by natural recycling or can be replenished by proper management. Simultaneously, non renewable resources cannot be recycled and get exhausted by unlimited and continuous use like minerals, ores, coal, petrol, etc. They cannot be replaced easily. This would lead to a situation where non renewable resources may come to an end after a certain period of time. Expanding human population resulted in expanding needs of man. So, continuous increase in population caused an increased demand for resources. Therefore, conservation of natural resources makes important contributions to the social and economic development of the country. Conservation and judicious use of resources. Natural resources are conserved for their biological, economic, and recreational values. Here, the word biological means it's relating to living organism. The use of natural resources in excess and unplanned way it leads to imbalance in the environment. A judicious balance should be maintained between exploitation of resources and its replenishment. Replenishment means to make full as complete again as by supplying what is lacking there. Okay, so proper utilization and management of nature and its resources is termed as conservation. To conserve these natural resources, we have to build a sustainable world which should last forever. Some of the ways to sustain continuous use of resources are practices to utilize energy efficiently, avoid wastage of water, avoid usage of water plastics and other non-biodegradable materials like plastics, metals, aluminium, can, toxics, chemical, paints, tires. These materials all takes a long period to degrade. So, to take care for the environment we live in this world, it is important that we manage and use our resources carefully so as to preserve for the future generations. Forest and its importance. Forests are an important component of our environment and are dominated by microorganisms, flowering plants, shrubs, climbers, dense trees, and provide a vast habitat for wild animals. Forests also contribute to the economic development of a country. Forests are vital for human life. It is a source for a wide range of renewable natural resources. They provide wood, food, fodder, fiber, and medicine. Forests are major factor of environmental concern. They act as a carbon skin. It regulates climate conditions, increase rainfall, reduce global warming, prevent natural hazards like flood and landslides, protect wildlife and also act as a catchments for water conservation. They also play a vital role in maintaining the ecological balance. Deforestation and its effects. Deforestation is the destruction of large area of forest. This happens for many reasons like intensive agriculture, urbanization, construction of dams, roads, buildings, and industries, hydroelectric projects, forest fires, construction of mountain and forest roads. It is a threat to the economy, quality of life, and future of environment. India is losing about 1.5 million hectares of forest cover every year. Conservation of forest. The important measures taken for conservation of forest are as follow. Afforestation. Activities for afforestation program includes planting and protecting trees with multiple use which help in restoration of green cover. Social forestry program. It should be undertaken on a large scale with activity participation of the public and utilization of common land to produce firewood, fodder, and timber for the benefit of the rural community. This release pressure on existing forests and to safeguard future of tribals. Forest conservation through law. Adopting stringent laws and policies to conserve and protect forests or through National Forest Policy 1952 and 1988 and Forest Conservation Act 1980. Wildlife refers to the undomesticated animals living in their natural habitats, forests, grasslands, and deserts, and area without human habitation. They are need for maintaining biological diversity. It also helps in promoting economic activities that generates revenue through tourism. Conservation of forest and wildlife is interrelated with each other. Aims of wildlife management. The main aim of wildlife conservation are to control and limit exploitation of species, to preserve the plants and animals from extinction, to preserve the endangered species. Hunting and poaching should be prohibited. Establishment of national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, protected areas, and biosphere reserves. These are the main aims of the wildlife management. Many organizations involved in conservation of wildlife. Let's see one by one. Indian Board for Wildlife, that is IBWL, and World Wildlife Fund WWF for Nature, World Conservation Union WCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources IUCN, Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species CITES, Bombay Natural Nature History Society, Wildlife Preservation Society of India DHRDN. Soil erosion. The top layers of soil contain humus and mineral salts. Here, the word humus means the portion of the soil caused by the decay of animal or vegetable matters, that is called humus, which are vital for the growth of plants. So, removal of upper layer of soil by wind and water is called soil erosion. Soil erosion causes a significant loss of humus, nutrition, and decreases the fertility of soil. Let's see what is the agents of soil erosion. Number 1, high velocity of wind. Number 2, air currents. Number 3, flowing water. Number 4, landslide. Number 5, human activities like deforestation, farming, and mining. And number 6, overgrazing by cattle. These are the agents of soil erosion. Management of soil erosion. How to overcome from soil erosion? Retain vegetation cover so that soil is not exposed. Next, cattle grazing should be controlled. And then Crop rotation and soil management improve soil organic matter. Runoff water should be stored in the catchment. Reforestation, terracing, and counter plowing. Wind speed can be controlled by planting trees in form of a shelter belt. These are the management of soil erosion. Renewable and non-renewable energy resources. Energy is an important input for development. The expansion of possible energy resources has been directly related with the pace of agricultural and industrial development in every part of the world. Energy resources can be classified as non renewable and renewable. Let's see what is non renewable and renewable energy. Non renewable energy is also called as exhaustible energy resources. Energy obtained from sources that cannot renew themselves over a short period of time is known as non renewable energy. These are available in limited amount in nature. They include coal, petroleum, natural gas, and nuclear power. Renewable energy is also called as inexhaustible energy resources. These energy resources are available in unlimited amount in nature and they can be renewed over a short period of time and it is inexpensive and can be harvested continuously. So these non-renewable energy resources includes biofuel, biomass energy, geothermal energy, water energy, it means hydroelectric energy and tidal energy, solar energy, wave energy, and wind energy. Fossil fuels are found inside the Earth's crust and are energy rich substances formed by natural processes such as anaerobic decomposition of buried dead organisms over millions of years. As the accumulating sediment layers produce heat and pressure, the remains of the organisms are gradually transformed into hydrocarbons. Example petroleum, coal, and natural gas. Coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum are natural resources. They are called fossil fuels as they are formed from the degradations of biomass buried deep under the earth millions of years ago. Coal is used for generation of electricity at thermal power plants. Petroleum, also known as crude oil. Do you know, children? India is the third largest consumer of crude oil in the world after the United States and China. So, crude oil is processed in oil refineries to produce petrol and diesel, which are used to run automobiles, trucks, trains, ships, and aeroplanes, etc. Kerosene and LPG, liquefied petroleum gas obtained from petroleum, is used as domestic fuel for cooking food. The coal and petroleum reserves can get exhausted if we continue using them at a rapid rate. The formation of these fossil fuels is a very slow process and takes very long period of time for renewable. Steps to conserve coal and petroleum resources. It is necessary to conserve or save coal and petroleum resources for the future use, which can be done by reducing their consumption. If electricity is saved, it will in turn reduce the use of coal. Using bicycle for covering short distances instead of using cars, scooters or motorcycles. Using pressure cooker can reduce the consumption of kerosene and LPG while cooking food. Solar cooker and solar heaters can be used wherever possible. Motor vehicles should be designed with fuel efficient engines to increase efficiency and also reduce air pollution. Non conventional energy resources. Many efforts are made to develop new sources of energy, which is called non conventional source of energy. It would provide great initiative to local people who could assess their needs and resources and plan a strategy that could be useful to them. Solar energy. Solar energy is the energy obtained from the sun. The sun gives out vast amount of light and heat. It is only a little less than of 47 percentage of solar energy which falls on the atmosphere reaches the earth's surface. If we could use just a small part of this energy, it would fulfill the all the country needs for power. Solar energy has advantages and also certain limitations. Solar energy devices. The energy from the sun can be harnessed to provide power. The various devices used for harnessing sun's energy are called solar energy device. Solar cells. Solar cells are photovoltaic devices is made up of silicon that converts sunlight directly into electricity. Solar cell produces electricity without polluting the environment. Since it uses no fuel other than sunlight, no harmful gases, no burning and no wastes are produced. These can be installed in remote and inaccessible areas like forests and hilly regions. Uses of solar cells. It can be used for street lighting, traffic signals, water pumping, battery charging system, etc. It is also used in artificial satellites and space probes. It provides radio and TV transmission to remote areas and it is used in calculators, electronic toys and watches. Solar panel. Arrangement of many solar cells side by side connected to each other is called solar panel. The capacity to provide electric current is much increased in the solar panel, but the process of manufacture is very expensive. Solar cooker. It consists of an insulated metal box or wooden box which is painted from inside so as to absorb maximum solar radiations. A thick glass sheet forms the cover over the box. The reflector is the plain mirror which is attached to the box, and then the food is cooked by energy radiated by the sun. Solar thermal power plant. In solar thermal power plants, many solar panels are used to concentrate sun rays to heat up water into steam. The steam is used to run the turbines to produce electricity. We have many advantages in the solar energy. It is available in abundance in our country and it free of cost. It is a renewable source of energy. It can be used for generating electricity or heat and it does not cause any pollution. Biogas. Biogas is the mixture of methane, nearly 75% of hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. It is produced by the decomposition of animal wastes like cow dung and plant wastes in the absence of oxygen. It is also commonly called as gobar gas. Since the starting material used in cow dung, which means gobar in Hindi. Uses of biogas. It is used as fuel for cooking. It is used to run motors and pump seats. It is used to generate electricity. We have many advantages by using biogas. It burns without smoke and therefore causes less pollution. An excellent way to get rid of organic wastes like bio waste and sewage material. Leftover slurry is a good manure rich in nitrogen and phosphorus. It is safe and convenient to use. It can reduce the amount of greenhouse gases emitted. Shale gas. Shale refers to the soft, finely stratified sedimentary rock that is formed from the compaction of small holed rocks containing mud and minerals such as quartz and calcite trapped beneath Earth's surface. These rocks contain fossil fuels like oil and gas in their pores. The fuel is extracted by a technique called hydraulic fracturing. Drilling or well boring of sedimentary rocks layers to reach productive reservoir layers. Environmental concerns of shale gas. Shale drilling could affect groundwater reserves, which can contaminate the drinking water resources and also affect the fertility of the soil. Million gallons of water is needed to break and release the shale gas, which in turn can affect the water table. Wind energy. The kinetic energy possessed by the wind is due to its high speed that can be converted into mechanical power by wind turbines. The wind energy can be used for generating electricity, run water pumps, floor mills, etc. Rotatory motion of windmills is used to draw water from wells. Windmill. Windmill is a machine that converts the energy of wind into rotational energy by broad blade attached to the rotating axis. When the blowing air strikes the blades of the windmill, it exerts force and causes the blades to rotate. The rotational movement of the blades operate the generator and the electricity is produced. The energy output from each windmill is coupled together to get electricity on a commercial scale. Let's see what are the advantages of wind energy. Wind energy is free, eco-friendly, renewable source of energy. It does not cause any pollution. Expenses on periodic maintenance is low when compared to the other power sources. Water energy. Earth's surface is covered with nearly 71% of water. Harnessing the energy from the flowing water can be used to produce electricity. The technique to harness the water energy is called hydropower. The electrical energy is derived from water flow, water falling from a height. Hilly areas are suitable for this purpose, where there is continuous flow of water in large amounts falling from height slopes. It does not cause environmental pollution or waste generation. Hydropower plant converts the kinetic energy of flowing water into electricity. This is called hydroelectricity. Tidal energy. Tidal energy is the energy obtained from the movement of water due to ocean tides. Tides are the rise and fall of sea levels caused by the combined effects of the gravitational forces exerted on the oceans of the earth. A tidal stream is a fast flowing body of water created by tides. Turbines are placed in tidal systems. When the tides hit the turbine rotates and converts the tidal energy into electrical energy. Advantages of tidal energy. Tidal energy does not produce any pollution. It does not use any fuel and does not produce any waste. Tides are predictable, so tidal energy can be produced at any time. Water is denser than air and therefore can generate electricity at lower speeds than wind turbines. Rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a technique of collecting and storing rainwater for future use. It is a traditional method of storing rainwater in underground tanks, ponds, lakes, check dams, and used in future. The main purpose of rainwater harvesting is to make the rainwater percolate under the ground so as to recharge groundwater level. Let's see the methods of rainwater harvesting. First method is that rooftop rainwater harvesting. Rooftops are excellent rain catchers. The rainwater that falls on the roof of the houses, apartments, commercial buildings, etc. This water is collected and stored in the surface tank and can be used for domestic purpose. This method is called rooftop rainwater harvesting. Next method is that recharge pit. In this method, the rainwater is first collected from the rooftops or open spaces and is directed into the percolation pits through pipes for filtration. After filtration, the rainwater enters the recharge pits or ground wells. People living in rural areas adopted a variety of water collecting methods to capture and store as rainwater. Some of the methods used are digging of tanks or lakes, areas. Okay, it is one of the traditional water harvesting system in Tamil Nadu. Areas are constructed in such a way that if the water in one area overflows, it automatically gets diverted to the area of the next village, as these areas are interconnected. Next method is Urenis. These are small ponds to collect rainwater. The water is used for various domestic purposes, drinking, washing, and bathing. These ponds scatter the nearby villages. Advantages of rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting helps to overcome the rapid depletion of groundwater levels to meet the increased demand of water, reduces flood and soil erosion. Water stored in ground is not contaminated by human and animal wastes and hence can be used for drinking purpose. Electrical energy management. Electricity or electric power is produced by generators. The generators are operated by the turbines attached to it. The turbines are rotated by steam, moving water, or wind power to produce electricity. Conservation of electrical energy. The following measures can be taken even at home and school to save electricity. Use energy efficient appliances to save electricity like compact fluorescent lamps CFL, light emitting diode LED bulbs and other electric equipments. Switch off the lights and fans, television and other electrical appliances when not in use. Switch off the mobile phone chargers when not in use. Maximum the use of solar radiation, solar water heating system can be used instead of electric geyser. Minimize the use of air conditioners. We can conserve the electrical energy. E-wastes and its management. E-wastes are generally called as electronic wastes, which includes the spoiled, outdated, not repairable electrical and electronic devices. These wastes contain toxic metals like lead, cadmium, chromium, and mercury. They also contain iron, copper, silicon, aluminium, and gold, which can be recovered. Environmental impact of e-wastes. Disposal of any kind of electrical and electronic devices without knowledge can become the landfill and water pollutants. Electronic equipments contain many hazardous heavy metals such as lead, cadmium that can cause severe soil and groundwater pollution. E-waste dumping yards and the places nearby are polluted and cause severe health hazards. Sewage management. Untreated sewage or wastewater generated from domestic and industrial process is the leading polluter of water sources in India. Sewage water results in agriculture contamination and environmental degradation. Sources of sewage wastewater: domestic purpose or household activities, dye and textile industries, leather industries, sugar and breweries industries, paper and pulp industries. Let's see the conventional wastewater treatment methods involve the following steps. Pre-screening. In this pre-screening, wastewater generated from domestic and industrial activities is screened to remove soil and solid particulates. Aeration. Screened wastewater is then pumped to an aeration tank. Here, the microbial contaminants are removed by the biological degradation that occurs in the presence of air. Sedimentation process. In this process, the solid particles in suspension form are allowed to settle. The particles that settle out from the suspension is known as sludge. Next method is sludge removal. The sludge generated by the degradation process is transferred periodically from the tank for safe disposal. Next, disinfections. Chlorination and ultraviolet UV radiation of treated water is required to remove any microorganism contamination. And finally, water recycling. The water will then be supplied for domestic and industrial purposes. Solid waste management. Solid wastes mainly include municipal wastes, hospital wastes, industrial wastes, and e-wastes, etc. The solid wastes are dumped in the soil, which results in landscape pollution. This soil wastes management involves the collection, treatment, and proper imposing of solid material that is discarded from the household and industrial activities. Now let's see the methods of solid waste disposal. In this method of solid waste disposal, first thing is segregation. It is the separation of different type of waste materials like biodegradable and non-biodegradable wastes. Next one is sanitary landfill. Solid wastes are dumped into low-lying areas. The layers are compacted by trucks to allow settlement. The waste materials get stabilized in about 2 to 12 months. The organic matter undergoes decomposition. Incineration. It is the burning of non-biodegradable solid wastes, medical wastes, in properly constructed furnace at high temperature. Next one is composting. Biodegradable matter of solid wastes is digested by microbial action or earthworms and converted into humus. Recycling of wastes. Papers from old books, magazines, and newspapers are recycled to produce papers in paper mills. Agricultural wastes like coconut shells, jute cotton stalk, bags of sugar can be used to make paper and hardboard. Paddy ash can be used as livestock fodder. Cow dung and other organic wastes can be used in gobar gas plant to provide biogas and manure for fields. 3D approach. The 3D approach such as reduce, reuse and recycle may be followed for effective waste management. I hope you all understood, children. Thank you.